Sup, everyone? Unrelated podcast here. Brian with you. Emma over there. We're on episode number 5. I had a nice title for this episode, but Emma didn't like it.
No, I didn't. I'm thinking we're not even going to share what that title was. No one's going to... I'm not going to tell anybody, even if they ask. Okay, we're not doing that. Thank you for just saying that right off the bat, you fucking twat.
I had to get that. I had to clear the air. You know, I had a really good title in mind.
No, you didn't. No, you fucking didn't.
Yes, I did. Because if I didn't say it, then I would have said it at some point, so I'm getting it out of the way. And besides, I'm not saying what the title is. I'm just saying it's being titled Emma didn't like my first title because she got mad.
And you know what title I like? You know what title
Go
I
ahead,
like?
insult
I like
me.
The title Alien Romulus. I like the title Alien Romulus. That's the movie. That's what I was talking about before we even got on here, started recording. That fucking trailer. Oh, I like the fucking trailer. I got so amped. Like, all it look, it just looks like good old fashioned xenomorph murder fun. Like, that's just, it's family fun.
I was really hoping that you were going to say Murpher, because I was expecting Murpher.
Why would you expect Murpher?
Because you almost said it.
What the fuck is a Murpher?
I don't know. You were combining words when you were trying to spit them out earlier. I heard Murpher.
It's called a stutter, dickhead.
I know, and I'm allowed to make fun of people's disabilities because this is America, and hilarious, obviously.
That is true.
Hilarious, obviously.
That is true. I mean, I'm just a special girl, and I deserve to be treated exactly the way you just said.
just as mid as the Alien trailer. I agree.
The face huggers flying through the fucking air, and the one just truly trying to mouth rape this dude. He's like that shot was absolutely graphic. That was graphic.
I'm glad that you've adopted my phrase of mouth rape, because that's what it was.
It really was. And that's exactly. I mean, it's always been what it was, but when they've never taken the fucking opportunity to just focus in on the face of someone getting put under by the face hugger, because we've never seen that before. We've never seen the actual thing. Oh god, it's just as horrifying as you would think. I fucking can't. I saw that. I went, oh god.
I think it was also just Go ahead.
So that's the shit that I want in my alien movies. Okay, that's what I want. That kind of the holy fucking shit violence.
Emma's I don't think I've got enough alien penis in my alien movies. I think we need more alien penis in my alien movie.
Why are you thinking about penis, Brian? Is it because you're gay? Because it sounds like you're thinking about penises a lot. Because we didn't say that.
You see that? See, that's the defensive mechanism at play right there. She's excited about the face huggers.
Also had a no, but see, you had it in the title of the episode that we're not going to do. You also had the same word.
See, you're exposing it. You're exposing it. I didn't say anything about it. I just said I just made a joke about the new title. You're exposing the old title.
That there's a dick in the name of the title. That's not giving away.
Yeah, you're giving the audience hints. You're not supposed to tell them. I agreed. I agreed to just make a joke about it, and there you go, spoiling words. Now they know dick was in the original title.
Yeah, and that tells you nothing. There's nothing about that immediately people are gonna go, ooh, it's just there was dick in the title. Oh no!
Listen, I'm just
the poor children.
I'm just disappointed that the small Muslim community church that sponsors this stream and the large Catholic church that sponsors this stream is now going to withdraw funding, because not only are you excited about facehugger private parts being graphically shown,
they're my bitches. They're gonna be just fine. I'll just have to get him in line. Mr. Jackson's lonely.
But in all
Brain Ready gonna have to choke a bitch?
In all seriousness, I've been indifferent to the Alien franchise since the second one, just because I like the first one. Obviously, the first one's a classic of horror. The second one got the James Cameron treatment of being somehow better, arguably somehow better than the first one. He did that twice.
It turned it into the franchise that it is today. If the second movie hadn't been as good, it would have just killed the entire thing. They wouldn't have made any more movies. But because
then none of the other ones even came close.
But then James Cameron blessed us with his fucking Christ magic and just decided he was going to make the best movie ever.
Terminator 2, I agree.
He wins. I actually I have a Terminator 2 shirt that I was wearing around yesterday too. I love, they're in the same, I thought it would be so cool if they were in the same universe.
What, Terminator and
Like I know
Alien?
aliens and predators are. Yeah, Predator and Alien are, but I was like, what if it was also them?
Yeah. I do know that there was a crossover, believe it or not, between Batman and the Alien. I believe Batman actually saves the Joker from the Alien, because obviously Batman
that's a weird. I don't know if I like that crossover.
But
I don't know if I like that crossover.
I don't know the comic. I don't know the comic, but I just know that it's I know that it's a thing that happened. But like I said, the trailer looks all right. I think the best shot of the trailer we only get a very, very quick shot of, and it's at the very end of it, where it looks like they're floating in 0G, and there's like blobs of acid blood floating around, and it's like that's fucking. That looks cool. That would be a nifty scene. Because it's like
really cool.
Because that's
you want to see them do something new. Yeah, you want to see them do something new with it. Like there's things like classic. You're gonna just hit that fanfare and just with it a face cracker flying into someone's face, and there's plenty of little references and homages you're gonna see. But like we want something original. Yeah. Add to the universe. Don't just like build. Do this. Replicate the same things you've seen, and that's what I feel like this movie is about to do. And it feels like it's gonna give something new here. It felt different even just in the trailer. I was like, okay, this is a step in the right direction. We're trying to build this universe.
Yeah. And I say this sincerely. I'm not trying to rain on your parade or nothing, because I know you love Alien. I actually my take from it is that it looks like it's trying to be Alien, and it looks like it's trying to be too much Alien rather than do its own thing. I actually didn't see a single thing except for that last shot that looked any bit different than what we've gotten already. And I know sometimes. Well, hang on. I know sometimes.
I'm listening.
It's great to just get more of the same, which it is. People overlook the idea. John Wick is a perfect example. All four of those movies, they have their differences, but there's a lot of similarities between those films because the formula was never really broken. We love watching John Wick slaughter motherfuckers,
Right.
And all they really had to do was get creative with some of the fight scenes and, put some banging music in it, and they made 4 big-ass movies out of it. But, like with Alien, this one, with Romulus, this is supposed to take place, which is why I said it was a prequel and a sequel, because it's supposed to take place between the first and the second movies, which is a little cheeky, because they're just like, okay, we're going to nestle our movie between the 2 best ones, and it's like, all right, well, first of all, you're setting yourself up to fail. Good luck putting yourself between those 2 movies. And it makes me think that, 2, there's no chance anyone in this movie survives, unless they want to start messing with the lore. It sounds like from the setup that this is really just going to be, from the setup, it sounds like it's just a bunch of scavengers that are like, hey, look, crash ship, free stuff. And the aliens look out the window and go, hey, look, scavengers, free stuff. And it turns into, the 2 running into each other. And again, I'm not going to crap on it for being more of the same, but I don't know. The trailer made me think that it was nothing new, which isn't a negative necessarily, because if they manage to capture the same horror, which is difficult, if they manage to capture the same thing, it could definitely be a fun movie. But, I don't know. I'm not going to go out of my way to see it in theaters. And if I hear good things, just like with any film, I might go see it.
We'll see. But, I saw it, the little things differently. There's 2 things, like, from the, you were talking about from the, like, there's things that are really similar. And that's kind of the point, though, because they're trying to hit fanfare here. Like, when you see the shot and they're on a ship, just the the artist, production design of the entire ship is so fucking cool, and that just it's very reminiscent of all the ships you've seen before on the show, within the franchise, all the movies that have been built
within the universe, yeah.
Right. And then that, because they at one point you heard the sound, like, remember from the tracker, the beep beep, like that sound is so there. Well, that's not even that. It's like, that is what makes aliens. It's the sound design. It's the little things. I think it is what it is, though. You pay homage. The last shot of the trailer was a straight up homage to a scene with Ripley, where the alien's breathing down her face, Exactly. Well, that's
a lot of movies can't escape the nostalgia,
Well, I think it's I mean, I have no idea what's
like
going
inevitable.
on. I know that. I don't think that that's nostalgia, though. That's what I'm disagreeing with you about. It's like, I don't think it's just pure nostalgia. I think it's they know what works, and that's there's certain traits. You're going to see this, you know, if it's a movie about xenomorphs, you're going to see A, B, and C. You're going to see somebody get their chest burst. You're going to see somebody get fucking just annihilated by a little small mouth. And like, I hit you with my small mouth, too. Get back inside. I want to play, too. Get back inside. I get you when we's eating. Zoop. The Family Guy.
No, and like I said, I get that, and like I said, I feel bad because I really don't, because I know you love this stuff, and I don't want to like totally
I know you're trying to
crap on it. I just think it again is very nostalgia baity, but again, it's not unique. There's a lot of films these days really lean into the nostalgia, and again, this is only a trailer. It's only 2 minutes. You know, there's plenty more to see. You know, I'm like you. I hope that there's more. You know, you seem more convinced than I am, but I mean, I didn't see a single thing in the trailer that looked, quote, new. But again, I don't say that as an entire negative. I mean, everything I saw in the trailer we've seen before. And, you know, I like the fact that, again, it looks like it's going for more of a slow burn, kind of like the first one. You know, it's not gun blazing.
It looks like
guns
there's
blazing like aliens.
It looks like there's a shit ton of action. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like there's a shit ton of...
I saw some of it. It looks like it's more... See, because I think, honestly, the best thing since Aliens, hands down, without a question, in the entire franchise, was the game Alien Isolation.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of all the media...
100%.
Out of all the Aliens media, that wasn't the first or the second film.
That game was excellent.
I measure a lot of stuff to that.
Yeah.
Because I think that game, obviously being a different medium than a movie, really did a much better job of capturing what really terrified people about the first one. It minimized it back down to, no, there's not 1,700 of them.
I would get too
there's
scared
maybe
to play.
A few.
I would get too scared.
And they're terrifying and they're unkillable.
Yep.
You know, or at least they're very difficult to kill.
I was terrified of that fucking... Like, literally, I didn't quite finish the main story of the game because there'd be times where I would get too scared. I started having a panic attack from the fucking alien. Like, you can hear it and, like, hiding in one of the, you know, the lockers or whatever.
Sure.
It definitely fucked me up.
And sometimes it would see you go in there so you wouldn't be protected.
Well, if that was the other thing, too, is I had the setup for it. There was a mic, and if you make too much sound, the thing would come and find you. So, like, you have to be quiet while you're playing the game so it feels like you're actually in the fucking space because you have to be quiet. Oh, my God. Like, that it's genius how they worked that out, but it is so fucking scary. I couldn't handle it all the way. I thought I could, and I couldn't. It was really scary.
It's pretty amusing because towards the end of today's episode, we're going to go into a segment where we discuss film or TV shows that we think actually deserve sequels, prequels, or remakes rather than the inevitable slop that gets delivered to all of us routinely by Hollywood executives that are too afraid to do anything new. One of the things that I definitely, you know, I look towards, like with Aliens, to me, again, the third best thing in the Aliens entire media franchise is Isolation. And then it works similarly for me with Terminator, because for Terminator, and I'll bring this up later, but as a little bit of a preview, I think the best third Terminator was actually the game that came out a couple of years ago called Terminator Resistance. You're a little bit biased
towards the video games, though. I think you're biased towards video games, in my personal opinion.
I mean, what do you mean by bias, though?
You're gonna naturally, above movies or anything else, the medium you like the most is video games, so it's natural that you're gonna think the video games. Now, you're not wrong about Isolation being the best addition. Like, absolutely, it's the best addition to the franchise. It was a genius piece of work, and the main story was fucked. It was so fucking great, but like, it's not the same thing as a movie. It's not the same thing as anything else, and so you think.
I know, I said that.
Oh, okay, so you naturally gravitate toward the video games. Okay.
No. What I said, what I was acknowledging is I acknowledge that there's a difference in mediums. I said that earlier between obviously games and movies. That's why I said out of the whole Alien media franchise. You know, I wasn't saying out of the movies. I mean, the third best Alien out of all the movies is Alien 3, in my, you know, if it was my opinion.
Right.
But
right, okay, I know what you're saying.
I mean, I don't see any bias at play. I'm just saying that's my third pick if I had to pick like the top 3 greatest like Alien media, you know, in the whole franchise. That whole media universe. You know, I mean, if I was being biased, I would say Isolation's better than the 2 movies. You know, that would be just stupid, you know. But no,
Well, it wouldn't be a video game.
No, I don't think there's any bias.
Okay.
Well, obviously, but like I'm saying, I don't see how that's bias.
Drawn. I don't think maybe bias is the wrong word, but like that you're naturally going to be drawn more towards video games rather than other mediums.
No, I think I would disagree.
Okay.
It's just because games are things that I mean, it's one of my top hobbies, but my other top hobby is watching movies. You
right.
know?
Okay.
I mean, and I obviously have more. When it comes to Aliens, anyways, I actually have way more experience watching the movies. I've barely played Isolation. I've really just watched a bunch of playthroughs of it. So
yeah,
no,
that's fine.
It's just my preferred outlet. You know,
okay.
is playing games because I'd rather have a hands-on experience. But no, I don't think there's anything. No, because there's obviously movies that can't be replicated, you know, in video games. Just like there's video games experience like Isolation. You're never going to replicate that on the screen because it's obviously just a much different, you know, type of medium. You know, you're never going to, like you said, like you just gave a great example. You're never going to replicate that feeling of actually controlling the character, having to run, hide, and then not only shut your mouth because the mic is listening to you, but then you have to deal with the real world emotions of you sitting there going,
exactly.
as you're trying to like,
just trying not to have a panic attack.
So I mean, and that's the joy, you know, of modern media, like modern media universes, is that obviously you can experience it in a bunch of different ways. Because typically, you know, there's games, there's movies. There's fucking board games. There's decorative dildos. There's everything. You know, everything is merchandised. You know, there's 100 different ways. You know, I'm sure there's some. I would not be the least bit surprised if there is an official alien sex toy. It's probably real.
There is.
Again, and speaking of which, I'm gonna jump in real fast with my topic I wanted to bring in.
Okay.
Not to cut the alien stuff short, but again, I'm not disagreeing with you.
This is the problem.
We
get talking
Romulus looks.
If we see it talking about aliens, you know already it's going to be a 20-minute conversation because I'm here. But like,
no, I know. I also don't want to deprive you of talking about it because I know you really like it. And like I said, I don't want to. You know, you're coming to it. You know, if we're gonna speak on bias, you're definitely coming from it as a super fan, which I'm not gonna fault you for. It's your thing, which is why I was like, I feel kind of bad, but I don't see a lot of the things you're seeing, but I wanted you to also be able to just gush a little bit about your favorite franchise, especially since after having a heaping pile of dog barf that was Prometheus, amongst other things.
That film that will not be named.
Which is another 20-minute conversation that we're going to cut off
that
real
movie should
fast.
just be called, let's just waste the best fucking, the best cast. We have the A-listers. We have Idris Elba. We have Charlize Theron. And let's just ruin those characters for them because it'll be fucking hilarious. And like,
Idris Elba and Charlize Theron, forget them. Who's the lady that played the main character? I thought she was the best part.
No, she is the best part.
I feel
but
bad
I can't remember
her name immediately.
I can't remember her name.
The lady who played, the lady who played the name. I'm gonna make sure that all 17 people that eventually listen to this throughout the life of this podcast are made aware. It was Noomi. Is it Noomi Rapace or Rapace? I forgot how you say her last name, but it was Noomi
Rapace. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, she was excellent. I had to Google it because
she was great. To give her like the acting wasn't the problem.
I thought she was the best part.
I mean, she absolutely was, and she was really reminiscent of Ripley with her curly black hair, like that, kind of at the medium length. You know, she looked very reminiscent of that, and I liked that.
Well, she also just played up a good angle of like an unlikely, you know, character that's forced to kind of toughen up a little bit, and like, you know, not like she was some soft little cupcake, but at the same time, it was like, you know, she fucking performed surgery on herself. You know, she basically had that same caricature of like, okay, you know, whether you're man, woman, whoever, you're a character that's gonna have to nut up or shut up, right?
Speaking of nut up,
and she did a pretty good job of, you know, doing that.
So speaking of nut up and shut up, you're gonna have to just go to you were just saying you're gonna go to your next topic, so.
So I was just going to mention, since I know you wanted to talk about Alien first, I wanted to let you get that out. I was just going to say that to go right along with the face hugger penis reveal that we got in the trailer.
God.
I might not even talk about it a whole time because we've already gone a nice little bit into it, but I don't want to totally trim it. But I'll just say quickly, it's reminiscent of this weird trend nowadays where people are just like excessively perverted. like not even to the point of memeing. It's kind of insane. Like, and this isn't some fucking church pastor, McCountry kind of fucking ramble here, but like everything, like, oh, the horror, she showed her ankles, stone that bitch, like I'm just as much of a perv when I want to be in private, but it's like it's amazing how much it's just not only openly socially acceptable to just be wildly horny, but I brought up the example we talked a little bit before we started today's show, about Aaron Esurance and Samantha Samsung, who are both mascots for their respective companies. Aaron Esurance for Esurance and Samantha Samsung for Samsung. Now, Samantha Samsung is still used in their training videos and is still used in some of their promotional materials, but Aaron Esurance was shut down because of the deluge of porn that people were drawing of her. And it wasn't something recent. Like, Aaron Esurance was shut down, I want to say, like 10, 15 years ago. It was a little while ago. And it was one of those things where it's just like, she's legitimately just a flat animated, just 2D fucking woman with pink hair who's like a secret agent kind of character look. And for some reason, that just drove an army of dicks to the internet to just start drawing endless porn of this chick. And it was like, are you guys that thirsty that this is doing it for you? You needed the Esurance girl to be drawn in all kinds of horrendous, like literally just pick a kink. There's at least 100 photos of Aaron Esurance in that position. And it's just like, and then Samantha Samsung suffered the same thing. Although
what
Samsung didn't pull the plug on her, I think they kind of did pull.
What about Flo from Progressive?
Jesus Christ, I hope not, but probably. Is. I mean, I think I think the difference is she's live action, whereas something that I think people, especially healthy people, don't realize about the internet is the sheer amount of animated smut out there. And the amount of artists out there that make it. Like, if you hang around the wrong side of Twitter or Instagram long enough, you're going to find tons of this stuff. And it goes everywhere from stuff that basically looks like it should be illegal to the most vanilla things. Like, here's fucking, you laugh, but it's like, we'll use the George Carlin line. It's Porky Pig and Elmer Fudd fucking. And it's like, why would you want to see this? I don't know. Somebody was horny enough to draw this, Mm-hmm. It's like I said, it's just weird. It weirds me out. Like, I'm all about, I'm a free speech absolutist, which people don't seem to either get along with or they just get annoyed by. But whatever. I think you can, as long as you're not hurting nobody, it's up to you. I agree. You say what you want. It's not freedom of consequences. People are going to respond how they're going to respond. But you have the freedom to say, what you want. And freedom of expression, comes in with that. And it's like, listen, if you want to sit here and draw fucking porn of the Geico gecko, go for it, King. I guess if that's what you want to do. But it's just weird how much there is of it. Like, everything gets perverted. Everything gets hornified in some way. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's just weird. As a guy who can be a fucking straight up pervert, 100% capable of it. I'm totally capable of it. I was 18 once, but at the same time, it's like, you think not. But like I said, I'm at least like, if I want to be like that, I'm at least behind closed doors like that. It's one of those things that everybody is like mask off. It's just weird how fucking it's
not weird. It's at this point probably the standard, because there's like, we were talking about this earlier. There's an epidemic of like porn. That was the first thing that was on the internet, was just porn, and it makes sense. Whatever, but at the same time, it makes it very difficult to have a civil and like kind of adult conversation, because it didn't start exactly in the most mature way. I think that there's people who have are more disgusting and really dirty kinks, but they just don't talk about, because our society is very open to that kind of thing right now. We're very sex friendly, but at the same time, very much not. Look at the fact that we have the abortion laws in this country right now. Like, it's not exactly an even picture. So it's like this back and forth, and there's no stability for it. So it's just. it becomes not weird when you start seeing the outpouring of, like, if you look at things on the internet and look at like how many views those videos got, how many times has that been downloaded. I guarantee you it's way more than you think. And so I think it's just people don't admit that they have these things, so it seems, weird. It seems like so I don't know, I just think that there's more people out there who have things like, maybe bestiality fetishes, or I don't know, like sounding, things like that, weird shit that I learned about over the last couple of years.
I want to jam some stuff in my peepee hole.
Exactly, which is oh my god, that was the most horrifying thing when I was like, oh my god, there's people who enjoy that. Like,
I will tell you, as someone, because obviously both men and women have urethras, I will tell you, as somebody that had to have a catheter at one point in his life, I would never consider doing that recreationally.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't know why.
I've had a catheter too.
Listen, yeah.
It's
a good point though, because like you said, it's a good point. Everybody's getting a lot more comfortable and open talking about stuff like this, but at the same time, it's just weird how just freely thirsty motherfuckers are, and it leaks into everything. Like I was making a joke earlier about how, like, we have our own little, everybody has their own little meme chats with their friends that they're part of, whether it's Discord or Facebook or WhatsApp, where you always share times, the shit that you wouldn't share with everybody else because, they're your friend groups, right? You don't want anybody else to judge you. But,
right.
There's plenty, it's even there.
I think it's about
the sheer amount of just everything is covered in cum, and it's just like, Jesus, man, it's everywhere. It's like,
well, one of the most, every time I go,
I'm not going to be the little Christian Minecraft. Go ahead.
So I was saying, every time I've ever seen a porn, you go to Pornhub or whatever, a RedTube, whatever site you go to, the first thing you're seeing on the first front page is like some
free advertising.
Yeah, there you go. The first thing you're going to see is just like massive amounts of porn involving incest. Like, it's going to be like stepson and step.
Yeah, that's been a crazy thing.
That's been really, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more people into that kind of shit than that. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that they want to fuck their mom or whatever. Okay, it's a difference between actual reality and fantasy.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I think the real draw of it is the taboo.
Exactly.
That's the
draw.
Exactly.
You're not going to actually do it.
It's always a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff, and we won't talk this too much because I'm sure anybody at YouTube that manages to listen to this is already going to start being like, well, it's time to shut this podcast down. But demonetization speed runs succeeded this time.
We got it.
I mean, we could sit. I mean, I know you and I are both really interested in human sexuality. We could both talk about.
Well,
I
went to school and studied some of it. It is, oh my god, it was some of the coolest shit. My favorite class, or one of my favorite classes I've ever had.
I went to college and studied sex too. I just didn't have it as a class. But
yeah.
But
giggity
no. But anyways, no. Yeah. Quagmire, isn't there an Owen country?
Peter.
Nope.
Oh, hi, Peter.
But anyways, it's one of those. Is that what my voice sounds like?
Is that what my voice sounds like? Yeah. It's. I love Lois.
Welcome back to Brian and Emma quote Family Guy without calling it out. But,
those people just lost right now.
This is the new boomer. This is how the millennials are going to talk to each other. They're going to talk to each other in Family Guy and South Park quotes. But just to swing back into topic, we got a nice little start to everything today. I hope everybody's enjoying their day. We got a nice little 30-minute ramble to start everything out here. And again, you're listening to the Simply Unrelated podcast. This is the Sup podcast. And strictly, I said simply because I'm just lost. Strictly Unrelated podcast. Hey, Brian, why don't you learn the title of your podcast? See, I just hear it
I just call it Strictly Unrelated.
And I always say
I don't
simply.
say the or podcast.
I always say simply. I don't know why. Even in my mind, I say simply.
Unrelated.
And I'm like, why the fuck do I keep thinking
that's
simply?
Because you also have a fetish for incest, and that's what you go to porn for, because it's related. You like things that are related.
Go ahead, keep pushing. Go ahead, keep pushing those buttons. I'm the one that gets to name this episode, so go ahead, keep pushing those buttons. We'll see what the episode comes out named as.
Swat.
I might just revert the title.
Oh my god! You know what? I quit.
We'll get into Emma's pole smoking habits later.
We're gonna get
but the idea
we've talked about this.
The idea, smoking poles. We both love talking about smoking poles.
You're a fucking idiot. So parental advisory warning, wasn't that
Love
the
you
thing?
too, honey.
I love
We're
you.
going into the fuck you, bitch. So the next section is called the ramble. The ramble rumble. Yeah, you and your 14-inch clit, back off. Ramble rumble is something that we like to do. It's a little repeating segment that's going to show its head every so often. See, she just can't stop. The Ramble Rumble is going to be 3 topics. We're going to go into 3 quick topics and discuss a few things so you guys get to learn a little bit about us. Here's some nonsense. And then we're going to wrap it up, like we were saying earlier, with a little conversation about some movies, because there is one thing that ties Emma, myself, and several of our friends very nicely together is our ridiculous knowledge, unnecessary knowledge, and love for certain films.
Indeed.
And so for the first section here, we're going to go ahead and pass it to Emma. Why don't you introduce the subject, and why don't you give me some insight?
We're talking about the parental advisory warning, right?
That would be number 1. You got it.
Okay, just making sure, because I have fucked up with numbers repeatedly, because I don't know, I'm not good with numbers, but so I'm not gonna take a chance.
I won't lie to you. Even if you just went ahead with number 2, I would have let you go.
Okay, well, you know what? I like the first one too. I'm gonna go in order, like, because I have to redeem myself still from the first episode. Jesus Christ. Okay, that's
a good idea. Order is good.
Your parental advisory warning. Like, so what does it say on your label? How are you dangerous or offensive? I'm me at this point. We've seen there's a lot of jokes that I'll say some shit that's like really alarming or possibly really disgusting or offensive to other people, because I just don't care. Nothing really phases me like that anymore. It takes a lot to shake me. My warning label, first of all, I'll probably say just, danger warning, does not stop talking. Or it's going to have warning, we'll forget what the fuck she was going to say halfway through a fucking sentence and have to stop and start over again because her train of thought was so lost that I couldn't. And then, what happens there too is that I panic and I go, oh my God, I can't remember it. And then my heart starts beating and then I really don't remember it because I'm frozen in fear trying to figure out like what I'm supposed to do. It's so weird.
Will be deer in headlights.
I have a little bit. I've never had that problem before in my life. It's a weird kind of stutter. That's some work for the therapist. Thank you very much. But
maybe not deer in headlights, but train may fly off rails at any moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you make it sound dangerous. In the past,
these rails are covered in Vaseline and they're gonna fly right off.
Generally, I'm not a violent person. I don't get into fist fights tonight.
I love the start of this.
But there have been some times in my life where I have possibly done something that was not good. And just at this point, embarrassing. What?
I just love, because listen, you're just as keen as me when it comes to reading people. I think I love because you know how whenever a story starts with, I'm not racist, but, or I'm not violent, but I gouged a guy's eyeballs out and it's like, oh, Jesus
exactly,
Christ.
Okay. That's exactly what's happening.
I'm not a pervert, but one time I stuck my dick in a guy's face when he was asleep. It's like, oh, Jesus. It's like, it'll always say, I'm not A, and then they will go on to explain how not only are they A, but they might also be on a list.
Exactly. That's what.
Like, I think you're talking to yourself right now. You're trying to assure yourself, I'm not really like this, but this one time, I was really like this.
Dude, it's bad. The fun.
It's not like, oh, this one time I told a racist joke, and it ends up being like, hey, I'm not racist, but this one time I did genocide.
Something.
And it's like, okay,
so we're not going that hardcore. Well, it's a little hardcore. I used to have my best friend. My best friend Sean, rest in peace. He's my best friend. He died a while back. We called him. Everybody else at the school that goes to school with me would have never known if I said Sean. They would have thought they don't know who that is, but they know him as Big Sexy. That was his nickname, and he would agree with me because at least that I'm telling the truth completely, because he was so happy that this happened, like the way that I was dangerous for the first time really in my life, I think. Or no, there's other times I've been dangerous besides that. But like, for the most part, it was that there's something happened when I was 18 that he literally like would never stop talking about. It was like his favorite thing to remember. He once said that it was if
I crave violence.
He once said that if like there was like Tinkerbell came out, you have to think of a happy memory so you could fly. He was like, this would be my memory. This would be the thing that I would use, because he hated this particular ex of mine a whole lot. At one point, I got kind of cornered. There was basically a big ball at my school, at my college. It was called Beaux-Arts. And every year, everyone would go and, wear the most slutty outfits and things like that. And I went kind of, sort of, with my ex, whatever. There was a bunch of drama. He was making out with some bitch right in front of me. I went back to my room and was like, I'm going to bed. And I told him I was taking some Tylenol and I'm going to bed. I don't remember. He was wasted, like drunk off his fucking ass. So he read it and somehow he thought that I was threatening to kill myself or something. So the next thing I know, there's an ambulance there and they're like forcing me. They're like, you have to go to the hospital. And I panicked because at that point I'm 18 years old. I'm severely mentally unstable. I have undiagnosed, untreated PTSD and all these, whatever else. I haven't gotten there yet. I'd only left my father's house 3 years before. I was talking really loud. Oh my God. I only left my father's house like 3 years before. And I was still kind of adjusting to the real world, outside of that.
And here's this guy just fucking with you.
Yeah, exactly. So
drunk and fucking with you, which is the two worst combinations.
Yeah, well, the problem was I bolted. That's what I did. I took off and ran away from them. And I was on the 3rd floor of this dorm. I don't know how I outran them and got them away. That was some kind of feat. And I got away and I lost them. They couldn't tail me. They completely lost me. So I went and hid in the bushes for a while. And then I was texting this dude, and he was promising that everything's going to be okay. Just come talk to me. And so I come and talk to him in person for a second because I was going to go. I know I have to go to the hospital. And the next thing I know, all around me, there's cops closing in like a circle. It was a trap. And he purposely sat there for me to talk to him so that they could corner me. I started beating the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. I beat the shit out of him. It took 6 cops to pull me off of him.
I'm not a violent person, but this one time, I hauled ass. I like that answer because it's both an answer to one and a little bit of number 2. A little bit of the humble brag, even though I know you've got your own story for that one. Look at this chick double dipping on these two right here. She's telling a double story for number 1.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, I didn't really mean to do that.
It's a little bit of a humble brag. That's okay.
Quite.
It's creative.
I don't know. I'm embarrassed by that. That's not a cute thing to do. You're not supposed to. The chief of police on my campus, bless her heart, was a really great woman, and I kicked her in the hip, and she had to get a cortisone shot. I went to the station the next day and apologized to her in person because, I just wasn't I wasn't okay, dude, because this dude was just fucking with me and just wouldn't stop.
Well, she probably knew that if she didn't take it out on you,
Yeah, whatever. And at this point, it is what it is. It's for me. It's not a humble brag at all. I'm not going, yeah, I beat the shit out of him. I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. I've never done that before or since.
Yeah.
To anyone.
Yeah. No,
I was driven past my edge.
And I mean it more.
I was driven past the edge I could take.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
I mean it more in a little bit of gangster cred kind of humorous way.
Oh, that's true.
It's it took 6 cops to get me off that fucking asshole.
Well, I'm just really.
But I'm reformed.
I don't remember anything. I was even I do have a memory of it, but it's very blank and kind of. All I remember is seeing his face, and just wailing. Yeah, I'm not proud of it. It's something that.
And
But yeah, I am. If you piss me off bad enough, if you really corner me, I will fight, and do some damage.
Well. And I'll say to support you, I'll say in a definite show of support here. I think there's a lot of people that also don't understand what it's like to get put to that extent. Even if from the outside you don't think they're responding rationally, to be in that physical mindset, to be pushed so far that your brain's only reaction is literally to go full monkey.
Yeah.
And just beat a motherfucker. Obviously, you don't have to be proud of it. I'm not trying to make light of it,
right,
obviously.
Sure.
A little bit. But
yeah,
also
it's not a big
deal.
It is what it is now, but the problem is
But it's also, it's understandable
he did the same
that you
thing
want to be proud of it. And I respect
Well, it was never talked about. The thing that bothered me the most about it is that he pulled the same shit with me. If I didn't do that. I didn't say I was going to kill myself, but let's just say I did for fuck's sake. He had at least a dozen different times where he was living in this apartment and he called me or would come to me when he was drunk and was threatening to vaguely do something. Like, I'm going to get in the bathtub with a bottle of wine. I'm just going to
assault. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I would come running instead of calling the police on him or doing something like that, what I should have done. Instead, I would come over and be a fucking clown and just keep trying to take care of him and be there for him, because that was taught to me from the time I was a little kid. But like, I didn't call the cops on him. I didn't put him in that position. And that's like your clue there. Like the first time that he thinks that I said something like that, which I absolutely did not. Like, he calls the cops. I'm like, what a betrayal that was. I was like, you can't just understand that, just to talk to me for a minute, that maybe I'm just upset because but he was wasted too. He was absolutely out of his mind drunk. Yeah. He was not making decisions that were right. He was just being a complete fucking asshole, whatever.
But no, it's a good illustration. I think most people are quite capable of incredible violence, and I think people don't realize it until they are really pushed there, because one, if you don't know the limit of where you're going to get pushed to, you don't know how far you would go. And in some ways it's required that you go there to learn how to control yourself, because there's some people that have never been there and never will get there.
Bless their hearts.
To a point where they like just straight up lash out, or hope the average person never gets there. But, you get to a point where you feel like you have no choice but to claw your way out of a situation, especially not just a survival situation, but where your anger is peaked. And it's like, I've always been a firm believer, because I'm unoriginal, that if you can't hate or be violent like that, you also can't love to the full extent. Like, you need to be able, it's one of those things that, like, it's almost like you have to it's almost like by expanding one side of the spectrum, you're also expanding another side, if that makes sense, right? If you're touching a further end of, hatred, it also expands your, I don't know the easiest way to explain it, but
it's just,
either
it's
way,
toxic.
It's it's understandable. Well, the thing
is like, that's relationship was toxic. Like, I wouldn't say it was abusive. I think he and I traded moments where we each were abusive to each other in a moment. Something like that was said or whatever, not meant as abuse, of course, but just because we were fucking young and absolutely fucked out of our heads and emotionally unstable
and stupid. And inexperienced, right. And
so, but like, it was just toxic, and that's like, I would say that at least for him, like there's nothing like abuse going on. There was none of that at all. It was just, he was an asshole, and I could be a bitch. And
so your parental advisory warning is caution: contents could be volatile.
Exactly. Well, just don't fuck with me, man. And that was the thing, is like, I got like just walked all over. Like a rug by everyone around me. Or like, I was so scared to say the word no, to just like almost anything growing up, and like, so it's hard for me to even confront things like that. I don't know. It's we don't have to go into it. I think we've been talking about it long enough anyway.
No, that's fine.
It's definitely not. I'm just trying to clarify that the relationship was toxic and make sure that people understand that I'm like not. Glorifying it at all.
Everybody's.
It's not my best moment. Not my best fucking moment. All right.
No, I don't think anybody would take it. I don't think anybody would think that you're calling it your best moment. I don't. Again, I say it more in a joking way that you can say you've got some street cred that you fought off a pile of cops.
When you're with someone who has a mental illness, especially one that's as like as severe as mine, you probably need to take it easy, just chill maybe a little bit, and not do shit like that. I don't know. It's not like it's like,
well, you don't know what to expect from them.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is like that any moment that I could, like, just recently I was in a situation where I almost got into an argument with somebody that I barely knew, and I was like, this is not like me. Like, this girl is really, really trying me, because I'm just like, whatever. I'm super easygoing. I don't like to get in fights with people, but once again, I got my voice raised, and I just walked away from that going, I can't believe I'm still capable of even just raising my voice like that. Can't just have a normal conversation, let alone, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I'll say for my portion, the answer for a parental advisory warning is something that you're going to be well aware of. It's actually the title of this whole section, and that's that I am prone to ramble and will not stop rambling unless stopped by force.
Yes.
I'm one of those kinds of people, and I have a perfect example of this. The other day, I filled out a job application that had the stupidest question I've ever been asked in my life on a job application. And I easily had a 43-minute conversation with my dad about it. that was mostly just me rambling and him laughing at me because, of course, he thought it was funny.
Well, you are funny when you're angry.
Well, it wasn't even that it was angry. It was like stunned, like aggravation. It wasn't even angry. Like aggravation's the wrong word. It was more like just like stunned, like because the question was, it was one of those stupid open-ended questions where it was, and I swear to God, the exact wording was, "What was the best day of your life?" And when I read it the first time, I legitimately just laughed because my knee-jerk reaction is, I don't see my therapist till Tuesday. What the fuck kind of question is this to be asked on a job application for a fucking goofy-ass like convenience store where I, one, not the least bit interested in working for, but what do you expect to get out of me with that question? And then that turned into a 40-minute odyssey of just like all the just like because all the angles you could go at, like what do you expect to get from this? How do you answer it? You know, who's the idiot that wrote this? Imagine the amount of hours they must waste answering this question and responding to it, and the time that it takes to review this one question. You know, it's like, can you imagine just the lost productivity and like the useless information that you're gonna get from people on this? It's like, this is like the dumbest stuff. Like I've been an interviewer, okay? I've written interviews, I've hired and fired people, you know, and there's a lot of really standard, you know, goofy, like, you know, name one time that you went above and beyond the Call of Duty, you know, one of those like standard stupid, like, you know, get the person to measure themselves kind of things. But like, it was one of those questions that just completely rattled me because I'm just sitting there going like, I have no idea what the fuck they think they're gonna get out of this question. And like I said, it turned into this whole thing, and I remember just thinking to myself going, because the way I ended up answering it was saying, I actually just straight up said, this is a strange question. I've lived quite a few days, and I don't know if I could pick just one, but I'm sure I was happy. And then I moved on. Because it was like, because then of course you have because then it gets funny because you can sit there and say, okay, you want the best day? Well,
April 25th.
I was dating this girl, and we had just spent the whole night keeping each other up. And the next morning we went into waffles and pancakes. Then we went back to the bedroom to work off the calories. And what do you mean? Stop explaining. You asked me to tell what the best day was. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you think my best day was what, a work day? Do you think it was like, you know, it's like, do you really want the answer to this question? You know, somebody is going to answer this question with, oh, this orgy I went to one time. or they're going to say, oh, this one time I did peyote, you know. You know, it's like, what do you expect to get from that question? So the rambling is just an illness, and it's going to continue. And like I said, the way my brain works is then I'm going to have to analyze it from not just that side, but then it's also like, what if it's a trick question? You know, and it's like, what if the idea behind it is they want to see if you're going to be sarcastic or sincere, or are they going to give you one of these stupid Hallmark answers of just like, well, my best day hasn't happened yet. I treat every day like my best day.
That was a great
Gorsh. And it's like, Jesus Christ, don't hire that guy because he eats human skin. I can tell just by the way he answered it. And it's like one of those people that's just always so smiling and happy. And it's like, no, that guy eats people. I know it. We are not hiring him.
Walk to the liquor fountain and go touch boys and give them little kisses on their cheeks and tell them how disgustingly beautiful they are. Like, just the weirdest, creepiest dude all that you can even fucking imagine.
Cut to the Family Guy. Cut to the Family Guy joke. That sounds pretty gay. Yeah, it was pretty gay.
Okay.
We used to run around and touch each other's bottoms, and he's just like, Grandpa, that sounds gay. And he goes, yeah, it was pretty gay.
Okay. We wanted to go to the next subject here. What was the humble brag?
I know you're itching. I know you're itching to get to this one. So for the humble brag, I want you to tell a story. You are. Tell us a story of something or someone that you did, accomplished, or witnessed that you're proud of. What happened and why are you proud? See, you think I don't know what you're gonna. We have a whole conversation about this. Basically, Tell us why you're awesome. Give me something that you did or accomplished or witnessed that you are
No, you go first.
Go.
How are you
I'm going on to number 3. If okay. I'm going to go to number 3 if you don't answer.
Of course I'm going to answer. But, all right. So.
You deflected to me. Shit. I'm deflecting back to you. It's you first.
Okay. So.
Hang on. She's thirsty.
You're such a fucking idiot.
She's like, fuck.
Anyway.
That's a tell right there. Before she tells the story, she takes a big old drink and says, oh boy.
So I had, well, I'm not going to say who it is, but the problem is there's a lot of people already, like the people who are going to listen to this, or some of them are my friends, and they know exactly who I'm talking about. So I'm hoping they keep their mouths shut.
Slightly famous person.
Slightly, just slightly. So it was an actor, I'll say that I had a crush on from the time I was 12. And it wasn't like a normal crush, as I have found out, like from my friends and everything else, because my friends would go through cycles of like, you know, first right now it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and then it's Josh Hart, and it's whoever. For me though, there's only one person, this one actor who I ever wanted, and he wasn't an A-list actor, but he is fairly well known, and well enough known that if you saw him or I told you what he was in, you would recognize, oh okay, I know who that is. I had a crush on him, and because I was watching behind the scene featurettes where he was being interviewed, and I was like, okay, yes, I guess I was 12. What happened was really funny is that before I actually,
Mom, I want one of those.
And the reason I'm talking about him because I ended up dating a situationship. I would call it a situationship is what happened eventually. I got to meet him, and that happened, and I'm bragging because. My family said it best. My brother was like, dude, it could have been Ryan Reynolds or whoever, some A-list, and they would have been like, oh, that's awesome, cool, and like not made a big deal out of it. But they made fun of me for this crush that I had for like literally my entire childhood. All they ever did was pick on me for it because it was such a specific choice. So they were like, of anyone, like in the world, that's the guy that you got. Yeah, I was like, yep, of course. So basically, I ended up getting, we'll say, I'm going to use the word date, something like that. It was something like that. I ended up getting to date my celebrity crush from the time I was like a 12-year-old. So that was really cool. And the fucking thing about it.
But not when you were 12.
Well, see, here's the thing. Now I have this huge crush on Seth MacFarlane, and I'm so deluded and had such a surreal experience with this that now I'm like, it could happen again. Like, it could happen. And I just keep this hope up, like one day, like there we go, I'll get a do-over.
Would Seth go for you? I don't think you have a penis.
He's not gay.
I know. I'm running with the joke. He literally gets called gay because he loves singing in his Family Guy cartoon, and he's been roasted. I think they did a roast, or he was at a roast. And I remember someone making a joke like that, being like, they're just like, man. You don't tell me this guy's in the closet singing in all his cartoons.
Well, he likes show tunes and stuff like that. But the thing is, my stepdad is the same way.
Yeah.
He loves show tunes and he sings as well. So it's like, there's nothing really gay about that. That's just community. That's just the fucking culture we live in. But yeah, so that I would at some point
porn obsessed.
Yeah, but the thing was about that when I dated this guy though, like it was really weird because he's the one who made all the moves because I was too fucking terrified to do that. The first time he called me, I could see it was a Los Angeles number and I just stared at it and I froze. I couldn't answer the phone. I was so panicked, so I just let him go to voicemail. And then of course I'm panicking, going, oh my god, do I call him back? What do I do? And he left this amazing voicemail that I still have saved somewhere. Oh my god, it's absolutely hilarious because when the first thing he said, he goes, hey, hello Em, it's me, and I'm like, he just said my name. He's talking to me. He didn't just say Emma. He's speaking to me, and I was like so hung up on that, just that one little thing. Like I think it took me like an hour to call him back. But that wasn't so. Every time it was always like I would be like, okay, Emma, just have a realistic view of this, okay? He's not gonna blah 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 blah. He's not gonna ask for your number. Or he's not interested like that. And every time I would say that, that's exactly what he would do. Like it's like he could read my mind. He was like, oh, and it escalated from Twitter to emails to phone calls to wanting to fly me out to LA. And I was like, I refused to let him do that though. I paid for my flight to LA with my own money. Thank you very much.
So you heard it here, folks.
Also, because I wasn't gonna
just keep stalking that girl you like online, and eventually you'll get to meet her.
Exactly. Well, the thing was that there was also a lot of horrible shit going on in my life at that point, which I'm not going to talk about because it's sad and we don't want to make people sad. But I was dealing with stuff with like, the legal stuff with the court.
You and the sad, okay?
I had been a victim of a crime and all this shit, so I'm dealing with that. And my brother said at one point that it was like I was what made him believe in karma, because it was like something really horrible happened, and then 3 days later is when he started messaging me on Twitter. It was like I don't know. It was like it was meant to be, and like the fate was going, here you go, here's your reward. Like, so it was pretty. That was pretty cool. What about you? Okay, what's your fucking humble brag? Let's hear it.
She's so upset that she can't go into more detail. She's very proud of that one.
I
will go ahead and say that I know. I'm just fucking with you. But it's one of those things where listen, all those guys out there that are creeping on models, now you heard it right here. Just wait for them to post the right post, and then you just gotta chat them up, and eventually they'll you might get in. Slide in the DMs. Wait till they're
lost in Skyrim and need help and advice on where they need to go with Skyrim. That's what happened. That's what worked for me. I gave him advice for just like, here's what you do in Skyrim. I gave him a little advice, and then it worked, and then he started tweeting. I never thought he was going to respond to me, but he did, and that was the best part. Because at first I was just
Wayne Gretzky, famous NHL player, once said, "You miss 100% of the shots."
You know what's funny though? It's not the first time I met him. Kind of. When I was 15, we were at Mardi Gras, and he was on one of the floats. He was in the parade Orpheus, and I made this shirt that says "I love hobbits," and I was like, I wanted him to throw me beads. And the floats go pretty quick, but what happened was the parade got stuck in front of where we were. So he was there on the float for like 45 minutes, right where I was. He threw my mom and I.
And you're just like,
oh my God! And a bunch of beads. But here's the really funny part. I was freaking out so much that the guy next to him, and my stepdad had this on camera. Okay, there's a tape of this, of me freaking out. My mom's laughing her ass off watching me. He basically, this guy that's next to Dom, he goes, here, look, and he holds his hand up for Dom, and Dom's like, what? And he's like, look, and you see Dom, I saw him kiss this guy's hand, and then he leaned over to touch my hand. To get me to oh my God. And I just like, oh my God, I was freaking the fuck out. It was so funny, dude. But anyway, I mean, I was 15. I was wearing a fedora hat, and it's, oh my God, that, I don't know where that videotape is. I hope it's just gone forever. I think I might have quote unquote accidentally gotten rid of it sometime, because it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. Just total cringe. But I apparently might have been funny for other people, but I don't really care. So what's yours? What's yours, man? What's your brag?
So mine is a story, and it's from a job that I worked, and I always got a kick out of this. So it is a more professional story. I didn't get any famous puss, but I will say some famous poon. But I will say I've always been proud of this, and I always get a kick out of telling this story. And it's even better if you were there, but it's okay. It still works out. Because the job I was working at, I was essentially an auditor for a financial institution. And they collected late bills. And one of the parts of my job of doing the auditing was when errors were found, especially when the employee caused an error, was to then write up, the discipline for that employee and send out the need for what would be called remediation. Because we worked for several large clients. One of our clients was a very large, very noticeable credit card company that everybody who ever listens to this podcast would know the name of this company. They're nationally advertised. They're very prestigious. It's a very known financial institution, and we collected money for them for late bills. And so whenever you do that kind of work, anytime you find mistakes and anytime you have any kind of problems, you have to remediate them and you have to document, what you did. It would be just like if you're any job, right? And like someone made a mistake, you typically have, a notation of it, and, person gets reprimanded, whether it's like they get talked to, they have to, they get warned, they get fired, whatever, whatever the thing is. So there's remediation, and it's not like this person was going to get fired, but the department where this person worked was infamous within my company, because the lady running it, who I'm going to call Jane, is a massive fucking bear mom type. And what I mean is she doesn't accept any criticism of any of her people. it's never their fault, and she never lets them, because like part of the remediation obviously is if they made a mistake, they have to get retrained, right? Or they have to at least be told like what they did wrong, and she would never do it. She was an attorney, and probably still is an attorney, right? And it's funny because in that job, half the company were attorneys because it was a legal firm. And attorneys really do only fall into two categories. They're either giant condescending cocksmokers or they're regular blue-collar cool people that would walk into work in sandals and shorts if they could. There's rarely any other personality type. It's kind of funny. Mm-hmm. Lawyers are either absolute fucking douche nozzles or they're just cool people.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it just has to do, some of them, the prestige goes to their head and they just become like that. And she was very much in that category. And she's only like a few years older than me. She's not very old. So, but to round out the story, essentially she would never do any remediation, and her boss, David, who was a VP, he's a bigwig, like a senior VP. He was like in charge of the entire legal department for a company that had 36 locations across the country. I worked at the HQ. And my boss, who was also a senior VP, Sarah, she had us put together little like presentation things for her to present, because she was going to be involved in a VP meeting where they talked about things the company needed to address. And one of the ones that I easily threw out there is, well, we have a couple of departments that don't understand what remediation is. And they have, because when I don't get a response, I have to go to my boss. And my boss has to go to her boss. It's a huge pain in the ass. So Sarah says to me and my coworker, can you give me some examples of bad responses to remediation? And I said, absolutely. And of course she smiled because she just goes, it's about Jane. And I was like, it's 100% going to be Jane. And so I did a little photoshopping, because it's a little picture and a couple of like the platform that has all the details, where I edited some of the names out, because obviously my VP is going to be showing this to people, and we don't want to call them out directly, even though I think they should, but that's just me. But, so she makes this little presentation from her audit team, because that's, Sarah is over the audit department, in my department, makes this presentation to all the bigwigs, about like, here's something very simple. When there's a problem, you have to remediate it. And some people are giving us a lot of shit. And so she showed one of the templates that I had, where the typical response, it's very, very, the whole thing is very formal and templated. So I'm not like writing in like, this person's a big poo cock-a-doodle head and they made this mistake because they're stupid. It's like, no, it's like, here's X, they did X, Y, and Z. They were supposed to do A, B, and Q. Please retrain on A, B, and Q. These were not completed per state and federal guidelines. Like really dry, just all templated. And her answer straight up was, I'll show her.
What the fuck?
And it's like, I don't think you get this, okay? You need to explain what you did. You need to explain what they said. You need to explain. It's like this, the client doesn't, boring, I know. So puts on this whole presentation, and Jane's boss, David, laughs and goes, who would fill out a response like this? And Sarah goes, she works for you.
Oh my God.
And he clammed up. And she had a one-on-one with him, because he just goes, there's no way any of my people did this. And so I got some nice, delightful little revenge, and a very because I was very good with her. I was very nice. I was never rude to Jane. I explained clearly what I needed, and she just kept treating me like a piece of shit. And so it ended up getting piped all the way up to her boss, and she got pantsed without realizing it in front of the whole executive committee. And then when David showed up the next time, I was told that him and Jane had a very long and a loud conversation on his side about how she needs to understand these processes. And it's like, thank God. Not as impressive as sliding into Jessica Alba's box. But you know what? I was really proud of it. And it was one of those things where it was just like, because her and I, we went back and forth on a lot of things. And I rarely came out on bottom. I was always ahead of this woman. And it was never because I wanted to get her. It was literally just because she'd fight. And it's like, I don't get, it's like, we're not trying to fire any of your people. We're literally, your people are making mistakes. And you're not teaching them why they're making mistakes. But, you know, like I said, boring, but it's one of those just like, thank God. Because again, she had no idea that her response was being used. Because again, it was all edited so that you couldn't tell who had responded to it.
Yeah. But
it was one of those things where everybody in the room was clearly just like, oh, jeez. That's how they respond? Because, like, tons of the attorneys would always fill in. They would sometimes send in their own copies. Like, they would send in a separate sheet with, like, full details of everything they did. It would be great, you know, and we never expected them to do that. But this one fucking lazy schmuck who was the director of a whole fucking department somehow would just blow it off. But
you're fine.
I like the third question a lot. Now that I've brought the energy down a little bit with that humble brag, with the fantasy vacation, and I like this one, and I realize it would go to you at this point, but since I just spent a lot of time talking, I'll introduce it and let you give an answer first. Fantasy vacation, you can go any fictional world for a month. Where are you going? What are you doing? And why are you there? Where are you going, Em?
Oh, I'm going to Harry Potter land. That's the first thing I thought.
Jolly old England,
like, Oh yes, I am. I was like that. I want to go where there's actual fucking magic.
Now,
like,
are you going? Now, are you going to the UK or are you just going to the United States? Just the Harry Potter universe. That's the question.
Yeah. There's a school in the lore. There's a school in the
Massachusetts,
in America. Yeah, there's just
it's in Massachusetts.
Thank you.
It's on Mount Greylock, which I climbed.
Yep. Did you?
I did. Against my will. Awesome. It was awful. I couldn't walk for 2 days. But continue.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, it was literally like a fucking hazing event for like for college. It was like, oh, we're gonna do like a fucking hike of Mount Greylock, you know, and I was just hike. You literally walk up a trail, but it was just like, I mean, look at me. You walk for 2.5 hours. Jesus Christ, my legs were made of jello for 2 days. I literally couldn't stand on my feet.
Yeah, I've had things like that happen. I've only had that happen once after I was at the fair with my family. But anyway.
Mount Greylock. School for Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Yes. I don't think I would want to go there. I would, well, it would be a new school to actually, I feel like that would be cool to be in Massachusetts and do that. But I have a month. I could spend half my time there and then half of it over at Hogwarts.
Yeah, but everybody dies at Hogwarts. Why would you want to go to Hogwarts?
Nobody, that's not true.
Did you just say nobody dies at Hogwarts? There was a war at Hogwarts. There was a war. Did you forget the books?
Dumbledore died at Hogwarts as well. So, I mean.
I was going to say, listen, do you know how many people died at Hogwarts? The 7th one had a full-on war. There is nobody dying at Hogwarts. Listen to this propaganda. What are you, Cornelius Fudge?
I am offended. Okay, take that back. Take that back.
I mean, he would have covered it up, and you're covering it up. So, I mean, I think I've made a fair comparison.
I just say I don't think, and I think that when there was a war and Voldemort was around, Voldemort's not around anymore. He's dead. Remember, you saw the movies too. So I think I'm okay.
We're not arguing about that. We're talking about whether or not people died there. You said no, and I laughed at you and said you're full of shit, and you haven't backed it up yet.
I was being full of shit because it was funny.
See, and now she's backing off. You see, guys? That's how you fight propaganda.
You motherfuckers.
But what are you going to do there? Aside from visit Hogwarts, what's exciting about just being able to do magic? Is there anything else go?
Honestly, I hadn't really thought through that much. Like, I was like, there's other places where there's monsters and stuff that in different worlds. And I was like, I thought of gremlins. I was like, I'd have a gremlin for a while. I thought of like, there's nowhere though. Like, I don't want to go to Narnia. That seems like a kid's ride. You know, that seems like we're going to get on the Twirlicups in the baby kid ride section of the theme park. So I was just like, no, Harry Potter seems like the obvious choice. It also isn't so horrible that, like, you know, I don't know. I didn't think about this one that much because I was so focused on the other ones because I like those ones. And I do like this one too, but I'm like, most fantasy worlds are not going to be like Game of Thrones. I don't want to be where they're in Game of Thrones world. That's no thank you. It seems horrible. Even if I was like a lady, I don't want to do that, even though I love it. what other fictional world for a month would I want to go to? I don't know. What about you? What's yours? Tell me yours, and then I might have a better idea.
So my answer is plain and simple. We are going to Johto, which is from Pokemon Gold and Silver. I'm 100% going to be a Pokemon trainer because it just sounds fucking great. Everything's happy. Everyone's joyful. People are just out there training Pokemon, exploring the land. How does that not sound fucking great? It's literally just just wander around in the wilderness, catching wild animals, dog fighting them, you know. It's perfect, right? We're just gonna walk out here and we're just gonna catch a bunch of wild animals and make them kill each other. Okay, maybe not kill each other. We're gonna make them faint. You know, that's the way they put it, PG. But no, that was something that I obviously loved as a kid. I had Pokemon Blue all the way up to, you know, some of the more recent ones. You know, I loved Pokemon as a kid. It was always a part of my nerd world. And but yeah, it's one of those things where that would be an easy pick because it's a joyful world. It's something that seems like it would be really fun to be a part of, and one of these days, they are eventually going to make a Pokemon game that's actually open world and is actually larger. And Pokemons are licensed to print money, so they just haven't tried in the last, 10 years to make a good Pokemon game. But one of these days, we're going to get the actual full-on giant world, I hope so, Pokemon game. But just imagining that in real life, that would just be too much fun. It would just be too much fun. Imagine having just a little team of buddies that not only you hang out with, you fight with, you train them up, they evolve. It's like, oh, look at this, I'm like a Pokemon trainer. I've got all these fucking super Pokemon that are like my buddies, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna go visit my mom. Let me just hop on top of my lava bird that I'm gonna fly there with.
Ooh, you know? Yeah, that and Avatar.
Oh, I'm gonna go hang out in the ocean. I'm just gonna hop on this dinosaur that I'm gonna ride through the ocean.
You know, that's kind of how I feel.
Hell yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it. Even though I don't like Avatar, that's what it is. I don't like Avatar and James Cameron's Avatar that much. It would be cool to be there in that world in the Na'vi and fly around on all those fucking things. It's so cool. It's like, why wouldn't I want to be in an alien world just flying on some creature? That sounds exactly like every Disney movie I wanted there to exist and me be the main character. That sounds, I definitely, that's a good idea. I also like the Pokemon idea. That is a really good, but the problem is I wouldn't be able to bear them watch them getting hurt on my behalf. Like it's like dog fighting, dude. Like, I don't want to make them fight.
But it's fun dog fighting where nobody actually dies. You can just spray them with a potion and they come back to life.
Oh, now it's my turn to say they don't ever actually die, because have you ever saw the first Pokemon movie when Mewtwo fucking freezes Ash and Pikachu's freaking the fuck out?
And then he's revived.
Yeah, but he was dead at first.
How do you know he was dead? He was just
because
frozen.
He was laying there as like stone, and Pikachu was electrocuting him and trying to bring him back, and started crying, and it was the saddest scene.
Yeah, but he was only frozen. He wasn't dead.
They didn't know that. He was crying because he thought he was dead. They all started crying.
How do you know that?
Because I watched the movie and their Pokemon tears healed him.
I know. I saw it too. He was never dead. He was just petrified.
You know what?
No, I don't. Please explain to me. I'm trying to figure it out.
No, you're not. You're such a...
I'm just saying, he wasn't technically dead, you know? I mean, if we're being specific about this, he was just petrified.
He's petrified. His heart's not beating. It's not like that kind of magic. He was literally frozen in stone. They started crying because they thought he was dead, and he pretty much was. If it hadn't been for their little Pokemon tears.
No, he was just a little stoned.
Okay. Anyway.
I like your attempt, though.
I'm still going with Harry Potter. I can't think of any other place though that like. I'm trying to think of books.
I'll give you a good one for Harry Potter. How about going to a Quidditch game?
There you go. That would be fucking sweet.
Go to a Quidditch game. Get like a, you know, if you remember in the fourth one where they go to the World Cup. They obviously go to like the world. They go to like the fucking, you know, FIFA World Cup equivalent. But like imagine, you know, you get to camp outside in your own portable fucking house that you got there.
Yep.
And of course it's the Weasley, so they've got like the poor version, and it's still a giant house inside a tent. And it's like, dude, imagine the rich version of this. Like imagine the actual like rich version of like the portable tent and how crazy it's got to be. But definitely a Quidditch match. I would 100%. 100% love, and I don't know if it's ever really a thing in the books that's explained, but you got to tell me that there is no such. There's definitely such thing as a zoo in the Wizarding world.
Yes.
Could you imagine going to see all the wild creatures and like all the goofy, like not just the stuff that Hagrid smuggled onto the castle, but like let's see like all the crazy shit that's out. That would be so fucking lit.
Yeah, it would, dude.
Be like, yo, send me to a wizard zoo. I am all.
Well, that's exactly what I got from Fantastic Beasts. That was like the fucking. Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
See, I like the first one. I didn't want to see the other ones, but I didn't mind the first Fantastic Beasts.
Really?
I thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay too. I liked it.
It was fun
because most people don't like it.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I
thought it was fun. It's like it doesn't need to be a wizarding war in every fucking film, and not to mention you still got a little bit of that with with fucking Grindelwald making his appearance at the end, and I never saw the second. I think they made 3 of them, but I only saw the first one. And I enjoyed the first one. I mean, I think the Harry Potter films are actually pretty good considering what we got, and especially considering what we get now too with adapted properties. But I'm really nervous about HBO doing their Harry Potter TV show coming up, and I mean I don't know. These guys did Game of Thrones, and they've got some talent. I just hope they don't alter it too much because they're 100% going to change some things, and there's enough people that hate J.K. Rowling that they're going to change some things just to spite her, and it's like, listen, man, you need to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
You can think everything you want about J.K. Rowling, you can hate everything she said. You can't, and I hate this because people do this all the time. It's like, stop lying to yourself that you hate Harry Potter. It's like, no, you don't. You still love it. My brother goes to the same thing. He didn't want to buy the game, but he really wanted it. But he's like, I don't want to support J.K. Rowling. I was like, I don't think she gets a whole big cut of that, man.
It's too late for that.
It's like, if you want to play not to mention you're fucking the developers over. If you're still supporting the developers that made the game. J.K. Rowling is probably getting like a nickel of that money. And it's like, listen, again, you got to separate the art from the artist. If you don't want to, that's your personal choice. But it's like she's not a great writer by any means, but she created an engrossing world that every kid fell in love with. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need. It just needs to be an encapsulating and engrossing world, and that's what she did. But speaking on remakes, nice little segue into the last section here. I like the idea of discussing films or TV that actually truly deserve a sequel, a prequel, a remake, a reboot. And we've talked about it enough, and it's one of those, it's almost old hat, but so many people talk about how Hollywood is overloaded with the remake, with the nostalgia, with the prequels, the sequels, all of the biggest movies in terms of money in the last, I feel like at least 20 years are almost all sequels and reimaginings, or, you've got the 3 Star Wars movies, you've got all the Marvel films that are all just continuations of the same IP. And I think it's a good question. Are there things, is there something that you think that actually, and again, TV show or movie, is there something that you really think either deserves a continuation, maybe a prequel? Is there something you would reboot? And I'll defer to you first, and if you'd like, I'll go first. But I'll defer to you first on this one since I got done rambling there earlier.
Let me just say, Firefly. Oh my God, Firefly. Firefly needs to be that would be the first reboot. Everybody was always one that should reboot, but if I get to just have it happen by magic, fuck yeah. My other one would be...
Can I say something real fast?
Sure.
You're my friend, right?
Yes.
I'm going to preface this by saying it's been a long time, and I'll definitely have to watch it again. I could not, for the life of me, figure out what people liked about that show.
About what?
I didn't think it was bad.
Are you serious?
But I was so bored. I was bored with it.
Dude, really?
And I'm not saying this just to fuck with you. I swear to Christ. I just was bored.
I understand. I kind of understand.
I again will preface it saying it was years and years and years ago. And it was definitely something that was kind of forced on me, which Napoleon Dynamite was too, and I fucking hate that movie.
I hate it too.
And I think the only reason I think the only reason I hate it though is because again it was just fucking shoved. It was face hugged onto me, and I was like, I don't want to watch. And then of course I'm in a room, forced to watch it, and I'm sitting there just boiling in my own fucking piss, going, I don't want to watch this. I'm gonna hate it no matter what.
Oh my god.
And Firefly was like the same. It was just like, you have to watch it. Greatest thing ever. Have to watch it. Greatest thing ever. And I was like, okay, I'll get to it.
Have you seen the movie Serenity?
But go ahead.
Have you seen?
No, I'm not gonna watch the movie without rewatching the series.
The movie is actually much better than the entire show. I'm not kidding.
And again, I only say it just because it's one of those, like, people get all. One of my hot takes, people are very, very protective of Firefly. And I've heard that too. I've heard a lot of people that really want to see it remade. And isn't that a Joss Whedon property?
Joss Whedon, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That sucks. I wonder if he owns the full IP rights to it or something. Because if he does, that sucks.
Really?
Well, the guy. The last I remember is a touchy Weinstein-y kind of guy.
Kinda.
I'm pretty sure Joss Whedon got Me Too'd.
Did he?
I'm gonna do a real quick check of that, but I'm pretty sure.
Something happened.
He got either Me Too'd. Yeah, because it wasn't just because I know he's always been. People have always claimed that he's a massive fucking dickbag. And that there's a lot of people that really don't like working with him.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that too.
Yeah, there's a whole section on the Wikipedia about accusation of workplace harassment starting in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go any further because I don't know all of this, but I know that there was a lot said about his presence on a couple of sets and how he lost some film projects because people were very upset with how he handled some sexual scenes, with how he handled like just general I think was it Carrie Fisher? I think Carrie Fisher might have taken a shot at him too.
Probably.
But a couple of people were not pleased.
I heard some of this.
No, it wasn't Carrie Fisher, it was Ray Fisher.
Oh.
Never mind.
No, those are two very different people.
No, I know, which is why I stopped myself before I continued. I wanted to make sure that's who it was. It was Ray Fisher. But no, I was just saying it's kind of a bummer because I don't think he's quite Kevin Spacey in terms of persona non grata, but
Kevin Spacey is working his way back.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
But and a shame not because I want him to like be gone forever, but because I don't think the guy ever got formally charged, but just everything around it was so fucking shady. And then like there were a couple of really weird deaths surrounding like his court case. It's like,
really?
I don't know.
I don't remember that at all.
I'm pretty sure there was at least one death surrounding his court case.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And
I mean, he's not going to go full Alec Baldwin or anything, but still.
Yeah. And this is just to finish off the Whedon thought. I'm remembering a little bit now that I'm looking at this here. Whedon is also one of those types that's very publicly been like, like almost obnoxiously feminist. And then he gets accused of this stuff, and it's like, Jesus, man. Like, there's a lot of types of people that love this kind of situation because they love that whole, like, a male feminist is just a fox in a hen house,
right.
And it's like, Jesus, man, you really just... He's another one of those guys that just seem to prove it, and it's like, oh, come
Seriously.
on, man. It's like, don't be the guy that sits there and tries to be an ally, and then it turns out that you're, like, doing this shit behind closed doors, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's.
But
nothing. Go ahead. Like, so you were talking about Kevin Spacey. I keep going. I was listening to what you were saying.
So in 2019, 3 of Kevin Spacey's accusers died.
Wait, what?
And 3 of his accusers died. They're not... So, 1 or 2 of them, I believe, were kind of suspicious. One of them wasn't. I'm pretty sure one of them, it was basically just... I'm pretty sure just one of them, it was like a car accident. But even then, you know, you get people that say, oh, well, you can stage a car accident. But it's just, I mean, you can make a couple claims, right? You can say that, well, you know, people die, and this guy had a lot of accusers, so it's not unheard of that 1 or 2 of them die during, like, the years that it takes to, like, you know, get some of this stuff out.
Right, but still.
But at the same time, it's also like, just like,
it's
Jesus,
like seriously,
3 of them died?
It's like some House of Cards shit, dude. That's the creepiest thing about it.
You know, one guy killed himself, you know, and it was just like, oh, Jesus. And again, you know, that's something that very understandably, you know, you could sit there and say, you know, that doesn't mean that Kevin Spacey did it, but I'm sure he was a part of it. Right. You know, but
we're talking about movies that deserve sequels, and I still haven't even gotten to say one. I think.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just
go ahead. I'm gonna stop. Nope. Go ahead.
I was listening to you. I was enjoying listening to you, but it was just funny because I just realized I hadn't even answered the question yet, and we've been talking about this for like half an hour. Or you've been talking.
Listen to me. Listen to me, baby.
Dredd. Dredd. The reboot of Dredd with Carl Urban. Oh my!
And wait a minute, you said Firefly.
I said
you said you did say.
Oh, you're right. I did say Firefly, but also the.
Don't shame me. I feel a little redeemed. I was like, no, you said something. We didn't just go completely off the rails.
Okay, no, I'm seeing that's why.
But go ahead, give me another one. You had another one.
I had the movie Dredd. Have you seen this? The remake with Carl Urban and Lena Headey.
Cinematic masterpiece of violence and mouth acting.
Yes, I absolutely do. Is the one and the same. That film.
Where women everywhere realized that they just wanted Carl Urban's mouth.
Yep. How expressive he could be with his mouth was fucking crazy. I was like, that is some serious acting right there. Like,
Mama is not the law.
I'm the law.
I am the law.
Mama, you've been judged.
And it's like, hits a little harder than I am. Ugh!
I fucking love Lena Headey in that role. I think she is one of the most badass villains I've ever seen in anything ever. She, like, when she said, do you understand me? Yes. Do you understand me? And she does that little wiggle with her head that, like, it's just like a snake about to bite. Oh, she's terrifying.
I'm guessing you're pushing for a sequel.
Yes. I want more of those movies. Absolutely. There's so much room for a sequel, dude. Especially now with what's her face is a judge as well, the psychic that he's with the whole time.
Anderson.
Thank you, Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole movie is just pure art, and I need more of it. I'm very upset that there wasn't it didn't do very well in theaters, so I would be surprised if it ever got a sequel. But like, it needs one. It needs like 3. I want to see Carl Urban be that badass motherfucker over and over again, because that movie, it had no right to be that good. You know what I mean? It's kind of how I felt about when I saw It's like how I felt about when I saw Mad Max in theaters and Fury Road. I was like, how dare you? How fucking dare you create this into a piece of art? Because Mad Max I have very strong feelings about too, of how beautiful of a film that is. Holy fucking shit. Like, just the cinematography, everything that went into it. It's just pure art, dude. I don't care if it's also a violence opera, but that's oh my god, one of my favorite parts about that movie is the fucking music. It's just opera music over and over and over. Like, oh my god. But Dredd.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember a whole lot about the music, but the visuals were
Mad
definitely
Max.
the highlight.
I want more.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dredd. Yeah, Mad Max. The music was insane.
No.
Sorry,
I was talking about Mad Max. But Dredd, the Dredd, the music was okay. I didn't really notice it. I was more focused on the unmitigated violence that I was just playing witness to. Yeah, it was really fucking cool. And what else really deserves another sequel? I'm trying to think. There's some that I want back that that would be fun.
So I'm gonna go in there and toss in my suggestion.
Let's hear it.
Constantine.
Yes.
And
yes.
Not the Keanu
there is one.
Reeves movie,
they're making one.
And I do. So not the not Keonstantine.
Oh, not our Lord and Savior Keanu Reeves.
So I like that movie. I honestly do. And I'm happy we're getting another one, because we are, and we're getting a couple of returning actors, including Keanu, and Peter Stormare is returning as Satan.
Fantastic.
I'm very happy we're getting that.
Absolutely.
But I'm talking the TV show Constantine.
No.
So NBC had Constantine as a TV show. It ran for, I want to say, a season, and they canceled it. And the guy who they got to play Constantine is Matt Ryan, and he was spot on. He was excellent as John Constantine. He actually got more work on the CW playing Constantine again, because Constantine frequently shows up in the DC universe. Even though he's not a DC character, he's part of, I believe it's Dark Horse Comics, and they frequently collaborate with DC. So Constantine frequently shows, like, for example, you know, there's the Justice League with, like, Batman and Superman and the Green Lantern and Wonder Woman. Well, Justice League Dark, Constantine is one of the Justice League Dark members. Okay. So he's and Justice League Dark is fantastic. I love Justice League Dark. But NBC basically said outright they wanted a comic book show, so this is what they picked up, and they weren't prepared to handle it correctly. And it shows, because the show had some good moments, and the intro is still one of my favorite intros to any show, and Constantine deserves so much better, because for most people that have seen the Keanu Reeves movie, Constantine, it missed a little bit of what the comic was, but a lot of Constantine's character it kind of got close to, because, like, Keanu Reeves played Keanu Reeves. He played the cool, laid-back, like, cynical kind of guy. You know, it's not a character we haven't seen from Keanu before, but, like, Constantine, first of all is from the UK, I believe. I'm gonna get shit for that. Not British. He's from the UK, and he is a con man. He's not somebody who is action oriented. This, like in the Keanu Reeves movie, he did actually trick a god into curing his lung cancer. You know, it is something that so the cool thing is that, just to explain it, in Constantine's world, every single god is real. And they all have power based on their followers. So the more faith there is, the more powerful they are. So obviously, there's some gods that are insanely powerful because they have a lot of devotees. So that makes a whole lot of room for all kinds of spooky and creepy shit, because all these, you know, all this paranormal shit is real, right? And Constantine is kind of like this. He's kind of like this just universal con man. He's not an exorcist, like he is in Constantine with Keanu Reeves. It's hard to describe him, but basically it's a show that so needs the R-rated treatment. It doesn't need to be a network show like they had it.
Yes,
it
absolutely.
Needs to be R-rated, because Constantine is dark. Constantine is dark material, and like, we're talking gore, sexual assault, dark magic. Like, we're talking like serious, heavy topics, and it's a very heavy graphic novel series in terms of, like, a very mature. And I would love to see it get the HBO treatment, and I really hope it does. And people really dig, the darker. I think with all the Marvel stuff that's gone on in the last 20 years, I think people really like and are open, especially now, to the darker, edgier content. And I think more people would be welcoming that.
But I'm glad you went on your... Did you have fun? Brian?
So all I get is mockery? Damn.
No, I'm not.
Damn. All I get is mockery?
I'm making mockery.
Even on my own podcast, I get no respect.
Oh my god. Now you're doing Rodney Dangerfield. Good god.
I just wanted to date ourselves, You felt a little bit of gray hair pop out of your forehead. I felt a little in my face,
Ew. I'm not doing that. We're not doing gray. I will never have gray hair, ever. I will live forever.
Yeah, okay. Liar.
We want to live forever, forever, forever young. I want to be Forever young.
Demonetized.
Yep.
You can't sing the song either, or else you're done.
I'm being ADHD.
But no.
Here's the problem: is like
Constantine
you were talking.
Would be sick.
Here's the only problem: is that when you were talking, you did talk for a little bit longer than normal. I was like ADHD, and I had a thought about something you would say, and then you'd keep going and start talking about something else, and I go, "Oh yeah, that," and I'd forget the other one, and it happened.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, until I got literally by the end of it, I was like, "Oh, I had 4 different things I was going to say to him about that, but I didn't want to interrupt and be rude and like because I liked how you were."
Oh, by all means, interrupt me. It's totally.
I usually,
fine.
I try to like just let you talk because like I don't like it when I interrupt and it feels rude. And I'm trying to work on that with my ADHD. ADHD is very.
I'm over here twirling my pigtails because she likes to hear me talk.
I do. Oh my god. I like no. You're saying a good point. And it's funny. I would have, but I was like my ADHD is so intense right now. I don't know what's going on. It's like I'm listening to what you're saying, but like for some reason I keep forgetting what I was going to say back to it. So I'm like, yes, it's not your fault that you're going off. I'm just not contributing as much to the conversation because my brain is like on low power mode or something. So I have no idea.
So I'll share with you something Keanu Constantine related, and maybe that'll trigger what you wanted to ask because we did talk about that briefly.
Oh yes.
Or I did mention that briefly. In the Keanu Reeves Constantine, remember his portly little buddy there who tries to drink all the No, I said portly as in fat.
Portly.
Remember that big guy,
Drinks,
who dies in the liquor store? Did you understand that scene? Did you ever like look up what happened in that whole scene?
They had looked like he thought he was not drinking anything, but like was actually drinking a bunch of liquor and giving himself poisoning.
So that was happening, but so here because the movie didn't explain it too well because I wanted to know because I didn't really get what was going on either. The movie again doesn't do a good job explaining it, but basically earlier in the movie he takes the necklace off of him and says, "Oh, you don't need protection, right?" Mm-hmm. And then we later see him like with a bunch of newspapers and he's kind of feeling around and his fucking eyes are rolling back in his head until he hears, Isabel, and he grabs and he grabs the article, right? So the guy's basically like a kind of psychic, and basically he hears voices and he hears all the voices. So that's why he wears that amulet to keep them away. So that way he can be sane and not be surrounded by all these ethereal voices. So when he goes into the morgue and he touches the mark on Isabel's arm that is the sign of the Antichrist, which, we don't know at the time, right. But he touches it. That's when the voices, that's why you hear all the voices, because they start roaring back. There's all these spirits and whatever that start talking to him. He goes to the liquor store to silence them. Oh. That's why he's going there to drink himself, not to kill himself. He's trying to drink to numb himself. And that's what that's what Balthazar was doing, was preventing him from being able to drink, or giving him the illusion that he wasn't drinking until he dies, right? Because all he was trying to do was just silence the noise. Right. Because he didn't have the amulet. So I thought that was wicked neat, because again, they didn't explain that at all. And it's like, I kind of wish there was more, because that's my only real critique of that movie, is that there's some stuff that they definitely could have just explained a little more. Throw in a line here and there, But that was fucking cool. It's like, I wish I knew that. That would have made that scene like, because I had the same thought as you. It's like, I guess he wants to die and he just wants to drink all the alcohol. Right. And it's like, weird, and like, it's like, obviously he's some kind of psychic when he's like feeling around the newspaper. It's like, okay, he hears with his fingers, or whatever. And
he hears with his fingers.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down. But,
anyway.
Bill Clinton could hear a lot about Monica Lewinsky, but anyways.
All right. Well, I think we're probably gonna wrap it up here pretty soon because we're getting a little long here.
Emma's getting tired.
I am. I'm telling you, my ADHD. I don't know what's happening to me on this particular moment. Oh, you know what it was? I got my medicine back. I was out of my medicine for like 2 days, and even just that small amount of time was enough for my body to be like, oh, and I finally got my medicine today. So I'm like, feeling more relaxed, but like the problem is that some of the times it makes me have like this brain fog. It's so aggravating because like I have a thought. I've never been so bad at like having a thought and then forgetting it. I almost like I have for this time. I'm like literally I have a paper in front of me with a pen because like I was like, okay, if I forget something, I'm gonna write down what I was gonna say or something, and then I forgot to do that too because I was listening to what you were saying.
Don't worry about it. And listen, you jump in anytime you want. You know how that goes. You always jump right in. And especially if you got a thought, if you don't write it down, just jump right in. That's
okay.
By all means. I fucking subject you to that enough. You can 100% jump in front of me. I mean, for Christ's sakes, my ramble rumble answer was I will ramble unless force is used. So
I know. Well, I do like to listen to that though.
You have permission.
Okay. That's good to know.
You have full permission to jump in front of me and say, hey, fucker.
Well, I was also very aware that my ADHD was being fucking rampant right now, and I was like, I don't want to interrupt you because that's ADHD.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Next time I'll interrupt.
Thanks
for letting me know that I won't listen to a word you say and just jump right in and start making fun of you.
I mean, you already don't listen to a word I'm saying. I'm just saying you can jump in front. You don't got to sit there and listen to it. If you got a thought, jump right in and say, hey, listen here, hang on. Side note. Side quest. I got something to say. Side quest, something to say.
I think, it was just this particular time. I don't know. Otherwise, I'd have a perfectly easy time interrupting you. I'll get to a point where I'm sure I'll make myself like it. Just saying, fuck Brian and all he was going to say. Fuck his head. Fuck his thoughts. I don't know. Sorry, that was a little extreme. I don't know why I just went there.
That's okay. I'm on dating sites trying to find someone who will fuck my head, but you know.
That would be like...
No, thank you. That's no. I'm not into the face hugger play. I'm all set with that.
Yeah. Oh my god. I can't wait for that movie. I can't wait for it. All right. So we're gonna...
You know what's great? We could just call this episode the face bugger, and in Britain, it's basically a way of saying face fucker.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Just saying, we could just call it face bugger, and we would only get banned in England.
Well, I have a plushie that's a facehugger plushie, and I've named him.
Of course you do.
I've named him Hugsy. I had a xenomorph plushie, but Bill ate half of it.
Smart dog.
Yeah, he's a fucking. Well, he hadn't been interested in it, but all of a sudden, he got really riled up one night, and he just decided to tear it apart. And when I look back, I realized there was fuzz everywhere, and I was like, no. Because he wasn't supposed to get, that's not one of his toys, it's one of mine, but instead he got that and I wasn't paying attention. So, oh well. But, alright. Well, this was good. I enjoyed it. Your tits are good! There's a Vine.
Okay, relax.
I have a Vine. No, that's me quoting a Vine of this guy, Arthur, who's a very angry British man. Vine. This man, Arthur, is a very angry British man, and he just starts yelling at people, how to connect with your wife. Your tits are good! And just screams in her face.
Not your tits are so juicy, dude.
I have an ex that literally used to. That's what we would just say to each other all the time. Just look at each other. Your tits are good. This is Frank. Hi, Frank. If he ever listens to it.
Like I said, it just makes me think of Friday the 13th that I was telling you about, the 2009 remake where dude's literally mid-coitus, no one's wearing clothes, she's on top going to town, and he just goes, your tits are just so juicy, dude.
That's so disgusting.
And that same accent and everything, so and it's gross. And you just sit there and go, bro, did he just call her tits juicy, bro, dude, whatever?
Well, it's the dude thing. Your tits are juicy, dude. Like that's what you say to your friend.
It's bad enough that you just say, your tits are so juicy, but then he says, dude, it's like, listen, I'm part of the school of dude means woman or man, but let's face it, when you're saying it with the dude bro accent, it means guy. When you say dude, that means guy. When you say dude, that means man or woman. So when you say, your tits are so juicy, dude, you're like, oh. Wait a minute. Are you fantasizing about one of your friends riding you instead of this fucking blonde on top of you?
Oh my god.
And it's like we were talking about, it's like, could you imagine, like that would be a great topic. I'd love to hear from people actually sharing their stories. Could you imagine, the awkward, because obviously everybody's done awkward shit. But some stories are so good.
Oh, I have one.
Love to, because you know, there's so many good stories of people just they try to say something hot, or they try to say something in the heat of the moment, babe, I love spending the night with you, and it's like, okay, they throw something out there where you're like, I don't know how to react to that, but that's nice.
That's sweet. I appreciate it.
They're trying to sound either sincere or deep or poetic, and it comes off as either really fucking creepy or it comes off as lame as fuck. And it's just like we've talked about before, where as the woman you might just be like,
oh no,
okay, I need to get off for a second and not actually get off because I'm drying up.
Oh god,
because they just throw out a line where you're like, oh man, I bet that sounded great in your head. And it's like, it did not sound very good in execution.
Yes, next, please. I'm. Oh my god, I'm having a hard time. I've been holding my microphone in my hand this whole time, and I'm wondering if it gave back feedback the whole time. If it's gonna be like, oh no, I might have fucked it up.
Welcome to Troubleshooting with Emma as we round out the episode.
I might have fucked it up. We'll see.
I sent you a text at the very start of the episode saying, "Be careful about shaking your mic."
Oh my god, did you? I've been holding it in my hand the whole time.
I sent it on Discord. I was like, "Hey, just be careful not to bump your mic."
Oh my god!
At the beginning, it sounded like sounded like you were boxing your mic.
Did it?
No, it was fine, and it
Did you hear it?
There's the joy of editing. There's a few things that I heard, but it'll get smoothed out. But it was one of those things where I was like, "Be careful bumping your mic," smiley face, and I was like, "I don't think she's looking at her Discord."
When we're talking, I don't do anything else but focus on what we're talking about.
Nah, don't worry about it. Listen. Nobody's listening anyways, except a couple of suckers on our friends list who are stupid enough to listen to it. Yeah, I just called our fans stupid.
Okay, yeah, our wonderful friends.
If you took your time to listen to it, then we really appreciate it. We just do this for fun. You know, we are never going to get famous. We are never going to get brand deals. We just are two people that have way too much to say and nobody to say it to. So rather than suffering our friends through it, we decided to suffer just one of our friends to it.
Exactly.
And we teamed up.
We can both every time that I jump into Discord with you guys, that's what always ends up happening. Like, Michael never gets a word in edgewise because you and I are just sitting there fucking just talking.
Well, Michael is... Well, a future guest of ours, Mr. Michael Lippy, who she's referencing there, he is also a mad editor. He's been doing loads of content on YouTube, so he's been doing nothing but editing. He's been doing it's great because he's never had something I think recently that's really taken up this much of his time, and I love the fact that this is just killing it for him. So he's been having fun putting gameplays up on YouTube and all that stuff. I'll put a link to his channel in the description too, because he's a good dude, and he's just been putting up Call of Duty footage again, like us. Michael's he's doing it for fun, and he's definitely and we'll definitely have him on the show too, because he's got a lot of cinema knowledge, and we'll definitely do a movie mega show. We're also
gonna have a couple of my friends on the show, probably my friend Liam. What's up, Liam? He's my angry asshole friend in Jersey, and then I have Nick.
Great intro.
He's the best.
Wait a minute. Dude, he's from Jersey. Yes, because I have a question, and I'm gonna spoil it right now. I need to know why East Rutherford, New Jersey, smells like diapers. I went to see WrestleMania a couple of years ago in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and in the stadium, which you would think, haha, it's probably because of the smelly wrestling fans. No, outside of the stadium and everywhere, it smelled like diapers, used, soiled diapers. And I was like, I've never been to a state that smells like poop. And everywhere we went, it smelled like shit.
That's kind of...
I need to know how far this stretches across New Jersey.
I think, if I remember, he lives like just outside of the city. Like, one time, my ex-boyfriend and I had a layover in Jersey, or in Newark. And so he picked us up for a few hours and we got to hang out. I don't remember it smelling bad. I thought it smelled okay, but I did have happen at one point. I was driving down the Jersey Turnpike. That is where it smells absolutely disgusting. I don't get it.
See, but even you had an area that reeked. And it's like, listen, a city obviously has a smell. It tends to smell like exhaust and fucking dirt and oil and whatever, because it's all people. Probably smells like a weird mix of food, all that stuff. But like this, it fucking reeked. I was like, I thought we actually had a sewer line like busted somewhere, like near our hotel. But when my friend Ali and I were driving around to like find food and like spend time before WrestleMania, it was like, no, dude, it smells like this everywhere. Yeah. It's like, what? It's like, why does it smell like this everywhere? It's like, we live next to towns that are very industrious, that have like a lot of factories, and it's like, they don't smell like this. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's an industry we're not aware of, right? I've heard that paper factories smell like that. So like, maybe there's I don't know, but
right.
I'll have to ask him about the poop stink.
Oh yeah, we'll have fun with him. He is very, very animated and cool, and fucking his favorite. He loves Kesha music completely unironically, and he loves Linkin Park. Oh yeah, he's got his music tastes are so all over the board. It's amazing. But he also reads a lot. And so he's one of the smartest people and the sweetest people I know. He's also a fucking idiot, and I love him to death. Same can be said for my friend Nick, who's going to come on at some point. Nick and I have known each other since we were 10 years old. And it'll be really fun telling a story every time he got in trouble with my dad about the punishment that they made him call me and have to apologize at one point because it was such a stupid story. It's like he called me a hoe because we were playing horse. And I got H-O, and he said, ho, and my dad heard, and, like, it was just this whole thing. It was so stupid. I have tripped so much acid and stuff with this man that he has stories about me, I'm sure. He has stories about me. So, anyway, those two are the ones that I'm definitely right up the bat are going to be hanging out with us at some point in the near future. And, well, yep, that's pretty much it for, I don't think I have anything else to say.
Listen, if you enjoyed yourself, make sure you're liking and commenting and subscribing down there. And if you don't want to do any of that, the least you can do is just tell someone to listen to it.
Exactly.
Why not, right?
All right, y'all. It's been good.
We do want people to listen. We do enjoy people commenting. We haven't gotten any comments yet, so please, by all means, let us know things that you like, things that you want to hear,
I get it in text.
Et cetera. You have let
us know what you want us to talk about.
The strictly, sometimes simply, but typically strictly unrelated podcast.
My thing I switched up with is slightly. I keep thinking slightly.
Slightly, strictly, yet simply unrelated podcast. We could just simply call it the SUP podcast. Not the SUP podcast. That would be the unrelated podcast. That's like an ATM machine. You know what I meant?
Yes.
The SUP show. We'll call it the SUP show.
The SUP show. That's a great show. That's a good idea. I like it. Brand it. Sell it. Package it.
That's been Emma. That's been Brian. We're signing off.
All right, y'all.
We'll see you guys within the next week.
Keep it real.
Hope everybody's having a good time. Enjoy the beginning of June. The summer sucks.
I'm in Arizona.
Firefly is mid. We'll talk to you next time.
Peace out.